Hello everyone, and as always I'm going to do a sound check on the screen to make sure I see everything, and now let's get the game underway. This is going to be game 1 in the series between Juan and HLAoo here on Last Refuge. Now, I don't really know if this is how you say his name, HLAoo. The vowels and consonants are all over the place, so very difficult to talk about. I'll just try to refer to them as pink versus blue. As we now see, it is an undead versus undead matchup, and if I just called them undead, that would be a little bit confusing. Now, I always find it very funny when I read comments on my videos talking about how to say Tho's name, this and that, and like, oh, don't you know that Tho spells it with circles, and they stand for eggs, and then I try to call him 3 eggs in Chinese, and people are just like, no, we don't like that. Well, as long as you guys know who I'm referring to, hopefully it doesn't detract. If there is a professional English Warcraft 3 casting scene out there and they tell me that I'm doing it wrong, then I will go ahead and fix it. I have talked to SBK and some of the other guys as well. I think I even played a couple of 2v2s with SBK a couple years back. A lot of fun, good games all nonetheless, but that's just all a bit of a diversion, as really right now we're waiting to see what the strategies will be. Now let's take a look. Altar of Darkness is a bit delayed coming in from blue. Meanwhile, Altar of Darkness is also delayed from pink, meaning it is most likely going to be Crypt Fiends with perhaps either a Lich or a Death Knight. Now the Lich is a strong option in an undead versus undead matchup just because of that Frost Nova. Frost Nova and that Frost Armor, very effective. The Death Knight really loses much of its nuking power, or loses all of its nuking power essentially, when going up against another undead player. That is why the Frost Nova is so strong. It not only hits the target, but also slows everything around it, allowing you to pick off units. The Death Knight, however, is a much easier hero to creep with, and for players who don't have all the time in the world to try and practice every single hero opening on every single map, this it makes sense that we are seeing a Death Knight versus a Death Knight matchup. Now we are going to see the Crypt Fiends pulling these units back all the way to this one onto Blight. The reason why you want to fight on Blight is that health regeneration is significantly higher while on Blight. You can now see the Death Knight now making its way in, and are we going to see more damage being dealt? Yes, the Ogre Warrior is backing off. Troll Trapper looking to back away as well, as we are going into some skeletal minions. Back over here, Death Knight going up against a couple of Troll Trappers. There's an entangle. Death Knight taking the majority of the damage, and unfortunately for the pink player, he did not build his graveyard just a little bit closer to the edge, extending that Blight. Meanwhile, down over here, it looks as though the creep patterns are pretty much nearly identical. Who will come out faster and who will have a bit of an advantage, as the Death Knight now perhaps going to be picking up an item. Yes, it is going to be a sacrificial skull. And that does make me scratch my head a little bit. Why would you pick up a sacrificial skull against an undead? Oh, there you go. You want to go ahead and use a sacrificial skull here. And I think this is just another way to get a scroll of regeneration, essentially, for undead players. You can see the hit points are regenerating rather slowly, I might add, but this is permanently going to be here. This is going to definitely help, as the Death Knight now with Unholy Aura still fighting this out. Meanwhile, back over here, the Death Knight of Juan is going to be a little bit later in that creep. It looks as though, yes, he is going to continue to fight all these Ogre Magi's, but he was forced to fight around the corner a bit, meaning that his creep clear time is not going to be nearly as fast. Also, the Death Knight and the Crypt Fiends much higher in hit points. Or I would imagine, as we are now taking a look at what the blue undead player is doing. Alright, let's take a look. Crypt Fiends and Skeletal Minions now making a move out. Death Knight gonna go ahead and pick up another Rod of Necromancy as he looks to move out. The Rod of Necromancy, very important in an undead versus undead matchup. Not only does it give you skeletal minions, it prevents your opponent from getting skeletal minions as well. So if you can take those skeletons and use them before your opponent does, that is a huge benefit, as a Death Knight now coming in with 300 hit or 300 mana. and a whole bunch of skeletal minions, and here we go. The Death Knight going up, taking down some skeletal minions rather easily, rather quickly. It looks like one Crypt Fiend may get taken down. No real way to nuke that unit, as we are going to see another skeletal minion getting taken down here. Both sides still fighting it out. We are fighting on Blight, and the Death Knight goes, you know what, I can do that trick too. I can regenerate even on your Blight, as both sides are still fighting. Alright, Crypt Fiends battling it out. Death Knight and Crypt Fiend exchanging blows as the Death Knight now tries to give chase. Will be able to get some easy shots off on these Crypt Fiends, but because he cannot death coil them to deal 100 points of damage, I don't believe any of these Crypt Fiends will take any serious damage whatsoever. Coming back over here, a quick death coil does bring up the hit points on that low hit point Crypt Fiend back into a reasonable number, 478 hit points. Coming back around, let's take a look. Death Knight now looking to creep out this 4-2-2 creep camp. I do not believe he will. Actually, no, he might actually get to level 3 here if he. Yep, he will get to level 3 here, as he is going to pick up a replenishment potion. Meanwhile, off to the north, a Crypt Fiend has been ensnared. Murlocs now making their way over. Level 3 now on that Death Knight, as the Death Knight going to be able to very easily heal up all of his Crypt Fiends. The problem will be, will that the blue Undead player can now also heal his own units, as he's sitting at level 3. So whatever hero advantage that Pink had, it has now been neutralized, as he is now looking to come in together. Oh, he may actually take down this Ogre Mauler creep camp. This is a potentially huge play, as he sees the Crypt Fiends making a quick run by and now heading off to the north, and this may be exactly what he needs, creeping out a very high level creep camp that his opponent should be able to creep out, and instead he steals the item, Book of the Dead, and now in comes the attack. Alright, Crypt Fiends, Black Citadel now coming online. Alright, we're going to go into some skeletal minions as well as the Crypt Fiends. Oh, are they going to get a surround? Oh, we do almost have a surround there. Not quite sure why we don't, as both sides are now ready to head off again. Another skeletal minion getting taken down. Both sides still fighting. Another death coil trying to save this Crypt Fiend, and there's the skeletal minions all popping up, but the Lich arrives just in time. And blue losing, I believe, one Crypt Fiend. No, both sides losing one Crypt Fiend, as both sides are still engaging. Alright, the Lich does have enough mana for another Frost Nova. Is it going to be coming in anytime soon? Death Knight now saving one of his own Crypt Fiends as well. And this battle is just going on and on. Both sides dealing a bit of damage and staying alive ever so barely, as we are going to see a low hit point Crypt Fiend getting taken down by Pink. Crypt Fiends and skeletal minions are now ready to go once more. Units are off to the north. A new Lich for Pink has arrived. Is it going to be enough? There's a Death Coil saving it. Are we going to see the Frost Nova? And that may be the question. No Frost Nova necessary, as we are going to be doing a bit of a retreat on both sides. Death Knight, Crypt Fiends, Lich now making their way off to the top right-hand side of the map. Is Pink going to be able to make anything seriously happen here? Or is Blue just going to continue to ride his experience advantage into victory? You can see that he's sitting on 3-1 levels, but he is, I believe, slightly higher. No, it's actually about even in terms of levels with his opponent. Lich is a bit behind in terms of level 2 compared to the Lich over here by Juan, as Juan is significantly higher, but it is not going to really matter much if both of these players just continue to creep for a while. That hero advantage does become less and less as you roll on, just because the amount of experience it takes. There could be better things that the Undead player should be doing. Alright, healing wards now placed down. What a nice item for Undead. Undead now going to have healing wards to heal up all of these Crypt Fiends in addition to the Obsidian statue. Lich now sitting at level 2. What is going to be happening next? Perhaps going to try to creep out this high ground here. That would be a very, very smart call. Did he already creep it out? Yes, he did. So he has crept out the high ground and now making its way back down here. Meanwhile, Mercenary camp now getting cleared out at the 6 o'clock position. This is potentially huge. Death Knight and Dark Ranger now simply returning back home. Juan has a good idea of where his opponent is coming from, and now will need to back off. As you can see, the Troll High Priest has taken a lot of damage. There you go, skeletal minions and Lich now battling out. Troll Trapper will get taken down. Meanwhile, Pink during this time had opted to creep out instead, and we'll see if that is necessarily going to work. Weapons upgrade is still seen at 0-0 for Pink. Meanwhile, Undead, Blue Undead, currently sitting at 0-0 as well. Both sides not really creeping or excuse me, not really getting that much of an advantage. All right, Ogre Lord does get taken down. What item was left behind? I believe it went on the Lich. Did it go on the Lich? No, not Ring of Protection, Healing Wards, Orb of Corruption, Claws Attack +6. I don't believe any of those items are the item that I am looking for, as we now see a Frost Nova and that Healing Ward. That Healing Ward is still going to try to keep units alive here. Are we going to perhaps see a Burrow as the Dark Ranger Death Coil saves it? As we are now still seeing both sides turning into a fight. All right, there is a Burrow by the Crypt Fiend, and the Destroyer is now giving chase against these units. What is going to be happening here? Destroyer taking a fair bit of damage as the the Crypt Fiend now getting burrowed here. Both sides still fighting it out, as Pink will be forced to do a little bit of chasing. Is any of his units fast enough here to really fight back this unit composition? All right, Destroyer now taken down. Destroyer seeing that 1-0 upgrade. I believe it's stealing and absorbing some mana as the Death Knight now still making its way over here inside the main base. Crypt Fiends, Dark Ranger now being added to the Undead Tri-Hero Perfecta. Abominations being added as well to be able to handle all of those Crypt Fiends. What is the counter to all of this? Are we perhaps going to be seeing a lot of, you know, not even carriers, a lot of Void Rays at this point, as Void Rays is perhaps one of the stronger options. Here we go. We are going to have an engagement, and now the Death Knight is on the run. Lich is on the run. It looks like the Destroyer did get into position just in time, and this is looking oh so good for the Pink Undead player. The Pink Undead player, nope, not even lets the GG go through. Juan does give the GG here, so thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed Game 1. Alright, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and continue the game. Let's wait, why isn't it going? Alright, here we go. So, taking a look at where... Whoa, okay, see, I thought the game had ended. Alright, a little bit of a confusion there. It didn't stop recording. Alright, thank you. Stay tuned for Game 2.